What's going on, people? It's SGZ here from the SpartanGameZone, and in this video we'll be covering the Chronicles of the Hellfire. There's no weapon that has more prestige than this, but after appearing in 4 games, something has gone horribly wrong. I'll be going over its entire Borderlands journey from where it started out to where it finds itself now. It's been a bumpy one to say the least, and I'll be explaining how it evolved over each entry to where it is today. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you could drop a like or even subscribe or follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to let me know what weapon you'd like to see next and whether this is a gun you'd like to return yet again in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and let's crack into it. The Hellfire first graced us with its presence in the original Borderlands, and I have to say, it impressed. It doesn't have a dedicated drop spot, but it is one of the most likely legendaries you'll find, and I obtained mine from one of the New Haven vending machines which you can farm around here. Its red text reads, "We don't need no water," which is spot on because this thing could ignite a snowflake. In reference to its name, the Hellfire always comes breathing flames and is incredibly efficient. It'll ignite enemies as quick as a flash, burning them to death quicker than you'd expect. If you're lacking the equipment to light your bonfire, then shoot at it with this. It's a gun where its damage over time performs better than its actual damage. Not only is its element at full ×4 strength, but its burn effect stacks. That allows you to turn up the heat by keeping that trigger held down, having your enemy's health bar drain faster and faster. Because of how that works, having a high fire rate generally trumps damage. Its burn effect is so strong that even resistant enemies will turn to ash. There's nothing that can withstand the fury of its flames, cementing itself as one of the most formidable weapons in the game, and one of the first legendaries that spring to mind whenever you think of Borderlands. The classic Hellfire then returned in Borderlands 2, and it didn't take long to find, dropping fittingly from Scorch, a massive flaming spider ant who you fight around here in Frostburn Canyon during the quest Cult Following False Idols, the second in the questline, which you can obtain from Incinerator Clayton near the start of the area. The Hellfire upheld its status from the original game, only coming in fire and being mighty adept at its craft. Its red text this time around is "We don't need no fire," which I guess leaves the earth, wind and air elements to bend. Its Borderlands 2 successor is simply an advanced version of the original, adding 50% elemental splash damage, which is also boosted by grenade damage, which Axton and Krieg can tap into. That's something you'd normally only see on plasma casters, and it's essentially a more ammo efficient one locked to incendiary. It'll light enemies on fire quicker than a spoonful of hummus lights up my afternoon. It is again the most efficient incendiary weapon you can find, other than the effervescent Nirvana, holding extremely high elemental chance and damage, made even more deadly with its fire rate. Its flame burns strong, dealing relatively great damage over time, and just like in the last game, its burn effect stacks. That's great for countering the health regen in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, but it will also cause enemies to smolder away as long as you just get that fire started. However, damage over time effects aren't as good here as the original, which does slow down its time to kill. It's particularly useful on a Hellborn Krieg, serving as a key weapon for that build. It works great in 2 ways. Not only does he have countless skills available to boost its damage, but its ability to ignite enemies almost instantly will have Krieg constantly set themselves on fire, increasing the buffs from those skills even more. In Borderlands 2, the Hellfire just got better, but failed to hold on to its top spot. In saying that, it is an extremely well-rounded gun, great on all characters, especially a Hellborn Krieg. We met our old friend yet again in the pre-sequel, but unlike in the other games, it is extremely hard to find. It's apparently found deep inside RK5's loophole, who you fight in the Outfall pumping station, but drop rates are almost non-existent. RK5 is a tough fight too, think the bunker, but 10 times harder. Powerful corrosive sniper rifles are the best type of weapon to take it out fast, especially multi-palleted ones like the Pitchfork. If you're after one quickly and much more reliably, your best bet is to hit up the grinder. Slotting in any 2 legendaries and a purple SMG sprinkled with some moonstone will guarantee you a legendary SMG, but you can get one without Moonstone, and the odds of it being a Hellfire are pretty good. In the pre-sequel, the Hellfire is pretty much a copy-paste of its Borderlands 2 variant, and I hope any returning weapons in Wonderlands feel more unique. Either way, it is still a solid weapon, but there are better alternatives. What it offers doesn't really get picked up by any Vault Hunters, which is a shame considering its solid standing in the first 2 games. It's still hard to go wrong with, but there could be signs here that it was beginning to lose its way. To Borderlands 3, where the Hellfire looked as pretty as ever, but there's something wrong with that weapon card. It will always and only drop from Jabba Maguire after killing them with an incendiary weapon, which you can attempt out here in Voracious Canopy. Its flavor text reads, "We don't need no something," which may be a sign of mid-onset dementia, or something much more sinister. Somewhere in the 7 or so years between Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3, something happened to the Hellfire. Something that is almost unspeakable. BL1 were light on cash to fund their war effort against Atlas and ran out of options. They decided to sell the Hellfire's weapon blueprint to Dahl of all people, who went forth and royally screwed this one up. To think that the most prestigious weapon in Borderlands history is no longer made by BL1 is crazy, especially considering its elemental focus. It just doesn't make sense. To me, this isn't the Hellfire, it's a mimic, one of those chests that looks like chests until you touch them. Well, same thing here. Borderlands 3's Hellfire is the predecessor to Borderlands 2's, but done poorly. It has a high fire rate, again always comes spitting flames, deals splash damage, and is just as efficient with its element. It'll ignite enemies sometimes in just one shot, which is insane when you think it's not getting any help from BL1. Its ticks of damage also stack, becoming just as powerful as a regular bullet, which is great, but there's just not enough damage to be worth it. I can see what Dahl tried to do, but the ticks don't come fast enough or deal enough damage. It pretty much only performs well against flesh, the complete opposite of the original, which could set fire to the ocean. That's what the Hellfire was made to do, burn through everything, but this one falls well short, and I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts on its Borderlands 3 adaptation. Looking over its history, the Hellfire started off with a hiss and a roar, but is heavily tainted by its latest form. It started off watching the world burn after setting it alight, but now it's afraid to go outside. I don't think there's another weapon that has fallen as far down as it has, so let's just pray for its redemption soon. So that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and learned about the Hellfire's history across all Borderlands games. Don't forget to let me know in the comments which weapon you want to see covered next, and whether this is a gun you want to see back on top in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. And I'll catch you in the next one.